I don't think young people are the future. I think they are the present.
We want to work with the most marginalized communities who are not represented in the way education is.
Hello and welcome to Qatar 365 with me, Laila Humaira. On this episode, we're looking at all things education and how Qatar is helping to bridge the gap on a global scale. I'm in Education City, the home of Qatar Foundation. Founded by the Emir's mother, Her Royal Highness Sheikha Moza, this city within a city is dedicated to learning and innovation. This area stretches over 12 square kilometers and is home to 8 international universities, a fully electric tram system, plus a World Cup stadium, and much, much more. But first, let's meet the team at WISE and their standout winners for global projects creating meaningful change in education.
A young environmentalist, Har Rose.
Never too young to take action and no issue too big to tackle, even one as colossal as climate change. That's the motto of Reap Benefit, one of the winners of the latest edition of the WISE Awards. The non-profit organization is shaping hundreds of millions of young climate activists in India by combining technology and mentorship.
You have this experience of solving, but then we need to get them in a community. So technology allows these young people or these Sol Ninjas to be in a community. The platform allows for mentoring so that young people don't feel sometimes left alone or they don't feel that they're in a minority. It allows them access to a peer community wherein they can learn, they can share.
It's estimated that global warming could wipe out 34 million jobs in India by 2030. But Kuldeep and his team believe they can change that future by investing and galvanizing the youth.
I don't think young people are the future. I think they are the present. And when you're trying to solve a very, very complex issue, you have to get the present to start solving it.
WISE was set up in 2009 to lead Qatar's pursuit in narrowing the gap in the global education system through partnerships and innovation. Since then, it's impacted more than 250 million beneficiaries in 200 countries through projects like Reap Benefit. In the most recent edition of the WISE Awards, there's even more reason to celebrate, as one of the winners came from right here in Education City. Education Above All launched the Internet Free Education Resource Bank project as an emergency response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which shut down schools and disrupted learning all around the world, especially in vulnerable and remote communities.
The concept was to think about project-based learning, and we wanted to simplify that for low-resource contexts. So we wanted to make sure that children who had nothing, but also maybe did not have access to a trained educator or a facilitator, could still learn in that way.
And while many classrooms are now filled up with students again, the work doesn't stop.
We want to work with the most marginalized communities who are not represented in the way education is. And we want to work with them to create relevant materials for their context. We want to continue working in emergencies, and we want to make sure that children who are stuck in emergency contexts and crises in the short and medium term have opportunities to continue their education so that they don't fall out of the system.
Over the years, the challenges in education have changed, but one thing hasn't: WISE's core belief of providing access to quality learning to every child, no matter where they are. I caught up with Dr. Asma Al-Fadala, Director of Research and Content Development at WISE, to learn more about the organization's commitment to investing in the young. Dr. Asma, thank you so much for being with us today. The pandemic really put into the spotlight the importance of innovation. What do you think has been the biggest takeaway for WISE from such an unprecedented event?
The COVID-19 pandemic, of course, caused disruption, not only to education, but also to different sectors in developing and developed countries. One of the projects we did during COVID in collaboration with Cambridge University, exploring the voice of parents during the pandemic for kids with learning disabilities. And we identified a number of findings and recommendations for this particular needs. So for example, here in Qatar, we found that there is very good communication between schools and parents, but we found that learners need engaged lessons to help them cope with this pandemic. Based on the recommendation from that study, we're also now putting a roadmap for inclusive and learning disabilities for Qatar.
Education and learning can be considered one of the main pillars for Qatar's Vision 2030 goal. What is WISE's role in helping to achieve that goal?
Part of the knowledge-based economy is producing knowledge, and we have the platform in partnership with universities and research institutes inside and outside Qatar to produce reports. Under the educational leadership track, we have a number of programs. For example, empowering leaders of learning. It's a capacity building, working with school principals and teachers to build their capacity in improving their practices, especially classroom practices. When we look at research evidence on the role of educational leaders on academic outcomes, it's so clear, but when it comes into policies and agendas, it's missing. That's why we launched this network. It's called All In, to support teachers and school principals on their role in transforming educational systems.
To make learning fun and engaging, the Doha Learning Days are designed to take learning in a formal school setting to informal community spaces like this one here in Masharib District. This year's theme is Youth Empowerment. And as Adil Halim found out, the future is in good hands.
You like tennis? I like tennis too, but I don't know many people like me who like sports.
I have a musical hobby.
Music?
Yes.
That's good.
They've only known each other for a few months, but Abdullah and Kareem already have a lot in common, like their love for tennis and music. The university students are participating in a program called Best Buddies Qatar, which pairs people of different abilities together so they can get to know one another.
Best Buddies has helped me to get to know more people and make more friends and connect with them.
The program began 15 years ago to help people with intellectual and developmental disabilities integrate into society. It's also an eye-opener for people without a cognitive disability to learn more about their peers.
Best Buddies has helped open my eyes to the opportunities available to people with special needs. I feel like my life has been improved. I feel happy that I've met many people that have helped me become a better version of myself.
Usually it's a long-lasting friendship as any other friendship. Once we introduce them based on definitely the same gender, age, interest, it becomes a normal friendship to them because this is the basis of a normal friendship. It has no rules and regulations.
It's hard enough creating safe spaces in the real world. So how do you create a safe space in the metaverse? Internet chat rooms and social media comments are filled with comments many parents may feel uncomfortable sharing with their children. Enter Kabuni, a tech company hoping to create a safe metaverse for kids.
Safety comes from multiple different elements. How long are you going to be in there? How do you interact and behave? What are going to be the protocols if something goes wrong? I think we have to work together as parents, industry, even the users, in figuring out what is the balance between safety and freedom in immersive experiences.
Okay, هذه حركة الشجرة. وأنتم الرياح أو الهواء.
What do you get when you combine language and movement? For Caroline Sibley, you get an Arabic yoga class.
I think every single body needs to move and feels that it needs to move and feels really good when it's moving. You also saw an example in the metaverse where students are moving and engaging in an activity as they're learning new information. And the research shows that it speeds up the information acquisition process, and it actually helps students remember things for longer because they have emotions and feelings and experiences associated with learning those new things.
Aisha Al-Amari has done a lot of learning herself as a mother of a child with autism.
Well, I went through a lot of emotions then, but mostly it was in shock and denial.
But once she accepted her daughter's diagnosis, Aisha partnered with 2 other Qatari mothers to launch Autism Parents Platform on Instagram, a support group with resources in both Arabic and English.
We found that learning from other mothers that have been through the same experience, especially with recent diagnoses, the younger ones, was easier for us to find like the therapy approach, the school approach, and what approaches actually work with our own children.
Whether in 2D, 3D, or more traditionally, face-to-face, the Doha Learning Days proved informal learning can take place anywhere, as long as there's a strong sense of community.
Through embracing differences and new technologies, Qatar is leading the way in breaking outdated education systems and giving a new perspective on learning, one that goes beyond borders and limitations. And that's all the time we have on this episode. For more, do check out Euronews.com and connect with us through our hashtag. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Qatar 365.